So if you missed the Karoline Leavitt press conference, and I would imagine some of you did because it's in the middle maybe of your workday, and Karoline Leavitt just did a presser about 60 to 90 minutes ago. We are going to play you right now some highlights, for lack of a better term, from that interview. So a big portion of the Karoline Leavitt presser today was about Abrego Garcia. And as you all know, the Supreme Court has ruled, I believe the vote was 9-0, if I'm not mistaken, that this man needs to be sent back to America. There has been no evidence shown, proven in a court of law, that he is a gang member or a violent criminal. But yet, Karoline Leavitt is lying. Karoline Leavitt is lying to the American people, and this is exactly what she said about this case today.
On that note, the Democrat and media outrage over the deportation of Abrego Garcia, an MS-13 El Salvadorian illegal alien criminal who is hiding in Maryland, has been nothing short of despicable. Based on the sensationalism of many of the people in this room, you would think we deported a candidate for Father of the Year. That's because, unfortunately, many in this country care more about this quote-unquote Maryland father, a legal alien MS-13 gang member, than a Maryland mother and an American citizen who was brutally murdered at the hands of a different illegal alien. Of course, I am referring to Rachel Morin. And if you didn't see yesterday, a Maryland jury found illegal alien Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez guilty of murdering Rachel Morin in August of 2023.
Now, what Karoline Leavitt just said about Garcia is a lie, not proven in a court of law. They make claims in front of the White House press corps, and she claims that Garcia is this criminal who was in a gang, and again, that hasn't been proven in a court of law. And a lot of these press conferences, and we'll get back to that, by the way, a lot of these press conferences are about coddling the president of the United States, right? We had somebody from Lindell TV the other day who was complimenting him on his physique, which I think he might be the only person in the country that would do that. Maybe a few others, I don't know. But, it's getting really ridiculous now, and it's about praising Donald Trump, and you're not allowed to criticize him for anything. I want you to listen to Karoline Leavitt. This is part of her monologue speech, for lack of a better term that I would say. And all the things that are going on in the world, right? Inflation. And we talk about, the chat where somebody, a person was put in there, Mr. Goldberg. That was Signalgate. Boy, it's funny how that disappeared. So many people that are losing their jobs. They've lost their 401ks. Their IRAs are down 30, 40%. I actually know people who have IRAs that have lost a lot of money. So many issues across the world, and people are suffering. And what does Karoline Leavitt talk about today? Well, she makes sure to talk about a brand new poll published by Daily Mail about Trump's approval rating. By the way, the approval rating is headed in the wrong direction. And Karoline Leavitt wants to talk about some Daily Mail poll that shows Trump's approval rating skyrocketing. Have a listen to this.
All of this work being done to make America great again, we continue to see a positive response from the American public. A brand new poll published from the Daily Mail and JL Partners this morning found that President Trump's approval rating is at an all-time high. That's because the president is working tirelessly to keep his promises to the American people, as I just saw him doing today in the Oval Office.
Oh, really? He's keeping his promises to the American people? Remember back in 2016, we're going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. How did that work out? He also campaigned on, we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. 4% of the wall was built. Mexico didn't pay $1 for it. This time around, he talked about no tax on tips. Is that going to be implemented? Oh, we'll see about that. He also said he was going to end the war in 24 hours. How's that working out? There's going to be peace in the Middle East. How's that working out? I'm going to lower the price of gases. I'm going to lower the price of inflation. How's that working out? He's keeping all of his promises. Well, yeah, he kept his promises to, pardon some very bad criminals that beat police officers on January 6th. He did do that. He's keeping his promises. What a joke what a ditz this woman is. What a dope and what a liar, quite frankly. And then there's Peter Doocy, and I can't believe Peter Doocy from Fox News, as I like to call him, Peter Doocy, asked this question, and he asked, is it legal to deport American citizens that are criminals? Are you guys really going to do that? Are you going to send them to other countries and in prisons? Is that legal? Now, of course, the answer is no, but listen to the way Karoline Leavitt spins in trying to answer.
Follow up on immigration. Deporting American citizens to Central American prisons. Is it legal, or do you need to change the law to do it?
Well, it's another question that the president has raised. It's a legal question that the president is looking into. And he talked about this yesterday when with his meeting with President Bukele in the Oval Office. He would only consider this, if legal, for Americans who are the most violent, egregious, repeat offenders of crime who nobody in this room wants living in their communities.
Of course it's not legal, you idiot. Of course it's not legal. You can't just deport an American citizen and put them in a high maximum security prison in another country because you want to. It is against the law. And everybody has the right to due process, which we know many of these people that were sent to these El Salvador prisons did not have. And even when the Supreme Court rules against the Trump administration, in this case 9-0, the president defies the Supreme Court. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's so ridiculous. And Karoline Leavitt, lie after lie after lie. And here's a statement by Karoline Leavitt that you just can't make up. I mean, lying through her teeth. Have a listen to this when it comes to Donald Trump complying.
Hi. How concerned is the president that a federal judge could hold a Trump administration official in contempt of court for defying deportation orders?
We are complying with all court orders. So I see what you're trying to do there with that question, but we're very confident that every action taken by this administration is within the confines of the law, and we continue to comply with the court's orders. And you have seen that, and the president made that clear yesterday in the Oval Office with President Bukele.
Yeah, they're complying. Really? Why are you not complying with the Supreme Court? Why are you not telling the president of El Salvador to bring back this man, Mr. Garcia? Why is it that when a plane was grounded, when you were deporting these alleged gang members, why is it that when the plane was grounded, after a judge's court order was put in place, you still sent those people to an El Salvador prison? If you're complying with the courts, then why are you behaving in this manner? Because you're not complying. They don't respect the rule of law. They don't respect our Constitution. And if they don't like a law, their excuses, they don't think the law is constitutional, and they will break any laws they want to. Well, guess what? That's not how this country works. That's not how this country works. That's not how our court system works. That's not how our Constitution, that's not what it says. And that's not what the president should be able to do. This is against the law. It is illegal, and they are not complying. Now, then the situation goes back to the president of El Salvador. And this is Leavitt lying again about Mr. Garcia, who the Supreme Court ruled needs to be sent back to the United States, which they all admit was a mistake. And then she decides to call this man a foreign terrorist. Have a listen to this.
Still going off the El Salvador questions. Yesterday in the Oval Office, administration officials made it very clear that El Salvador is responsible for Mr. Abrego Garcia. Yet El Salvador's president said we're not going to do anything with him. So my question is, who is responsible for this man and where he's going to end up?
Well, no. First of all, President Bukele said that he is not going to smuggle a foreign terrorist back into the United States of America, as many in this room in the Democrat Party seemingly want him to do. Abrego Garcia was a foreign terrorist. He is an MS-13 gang member. He was engaged in human trafficking. He illegally came into our country. And so deporting him back to El Salvador was always going to be the end result. There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland, because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member. Not only have we confirmed that, President Bukele yesterday in the Oval Office confirmed that as well. So he went back to his home country, where he will face consequences for his gang affiliation and his engagement in human trafficking. I'm not sure what is so difficult about this for everyone in the media to understand. And it's appalling, truly appalling, that there has been so much time covering this alleged human trafficker and this gang member, MS-13 gang member. It's truly striking to me.
Well, here's what's truly striking to me. It doesn't matter what you say this guy did. It doesn't matter what the president of El Salvador says, what this guy allegedly did. You couldn't prove it in a courtroom. That's why the Supreme Court ruled 9-0. You couldn't prove with evidence that he is a gang member. You couldn't prove that he's a terrorist. But yet, you guys have no problem just making claims, throwing something at a wall and hope that it sticks. Who cares what the president of El Salvador says, who, by the way, is a mini dictator? Who cares what you guys say in the White House? It wasn't proven in court. That is why we say a lack of due process. You can't just deport people. And by the way, my understanding is that this guy is a U.S. citizen. It hasn't even been proven that he's illegal. Hasn't even been proven that he's undocumented, let alone all that other stuff you guys are saying. And now he's apparently sitting in this El Salvador prison, high maximum security prison. They won't send him back to the United States, even though the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that the president now should be sending him back to the United States. It's a joke.